Bosses in Silksong is something that we already talked about on this channel. Up until now, we covered Sharp and the Last Judge. I was planning on making a video on every boss, but I soon realized that would be quite impossible since some of the bosses basically don't have any lore or anything I could build off of. For an example, the Moss Mother. She is literally just a big, mossy bug. So instead, I decided that I will cover all the remaining bosses in this video, so let's start off with the Moss Mother. There is not much to be said about this boss. She is basically the grass mother of this game. It's a giant bug that gives birth to mossy bugs like these guys. But unlike the grass mother, she doesn't give birth to them directly, but rather lays eggs that we can see in the background of her arena, and also all around the Moss Grotto, like we can see in this clip from Nintendo Treehouse livestream. She's also one of the mobs that doesn't have the strings controlling her, likely because she is a creature of lower intelligence that mostly relies on instinct rather than intellect, like most of the animals do. But she does burst into silk and soul when she dies, which means she is cursed by the silk but not controlled by it. And that's pretty much all that can be said about her. She doesn't have any lore that we know of, so for now, let's move on to the next boss. Hunter Queen Carmelita is yet another mysterious bug enemy that has barely anything written about her. We only have one clip of her from the trailer where we can see her fighting Hornet. Her fight with Hornet takes place in an old auditorium with her Ant tribe members spectating the battle. We can see she is using double-edged daggers that she occasionally spins. She also has a move that spawns bone spikes from the ground that are mechanically similar to the Dung Defender attack. Again, we don't have any lore to go over while covering this boss, so let's move on to the next one. Okay, so before I start talking about her, I just want you all to know that Lace and Seth were originally supposed to have their own separate videos, but I decided to put them in this video because I didn't have enough material for a normal video that would last like 8 to 10 minutes, since they don't have any enemies directly related to them, like the Last Judge and the Sharp do, that I could compare them with. Lace is a fencer, wielding a gilded pin, the traditional weapon of Farloon. Lace is a very interesting character that we saw multiple times. She seems to be unaffected by the curse of the silk, and has her own mysterious motives for capturing Hornet. Lace makes two appearances in two different areas in the reveal trailers. Once in the Deep Docks, and the second time in this area that doesn't have a name. So let's start with the first encounter. When entering the arena, we can see Lace training or controlling these glowing bugs that are identical to the bugs that remove the seal of binding of Hornet's cage, but also are quite similar to the bugs found in the King's Pass in Hollow Knight. Right after we enter the arena, we get this piece of dialogue between Hornet and Lace. How sad, a little spider has fallen from its cage. So lost, so weak. Poor little morsel. I can save you, little spider. All the trouble you'd face above. All the suffering, it's so simple. I just work you here and now, pluck the flickering life right out of you. Your threats are worthless. If you are my foe, seize this prattle and raise your blade. Delicious. I like you already. It's interesting how Lace keeps referring to Hornet as a little spider, similar to how Hornet called the Knight little ghost. I won't be going over all her attacks in depth, so if you are interested and want to know everything there is to know about her attacks, I will leave a link to Silksong fandom wiki about her so you can read it for yourself. After Hornet beats Lace, she flies into the ceiling, similarly to how Hornet fled in her first fight with the Knight. After the fight, we can see that Lace was guarding this bell. Now, we don't know exactly what does this bell do, but we do know that bells have a big meaning in this game, So we can only speculate that it opens up a new area or it gives Hornet a new ability in true Metroidvania fashion. The second encounter can be only seen in the trailers, so we don't have the full footage of the fight, but fortunate for us, it was shown in both trailers rather than only one. So first and foremost, the area in which this fight takes place was changed in the second trailer. In the second trailer, the pipes in the background are way more blurry, and the platform on which this fight takes place is no longer held up by string. We can also see a big golden cage, which we can only assume was created to capture Hornet again, but I am not so sure about that since it is way bigger than the cage in which Hornet was originally brought to Farloom. Now, let's talk about the pipes a bit. We can see that there are a lot of pipes in the background, which tells me whatever they are transporting, it has to be in a very large demand to be in that quantity. Also, some of the pipes have these weird endings to them, which don't lead anywhere and are quite weird. We can also see there are roses growing on these pipes, and when plants grow on pipes like moss, it is typically a sign of moisture being present on the pipes, which could mean whatever they are transporting could be a sort of liquid, but even if that's true, we don't have any proof of this. But speaking of mysterious things, let's talk about Seth. Seth is an eternal protector that waits at the base of the citadel, guarding a long-forgotten secret, and will attack anyone that comes too close. As I said, Seth was supposed to have his own video, since he has some interesting premises surrounding him, but we don't have any information to actually discuss those premises. He is imbued with strength and stamina beyond the normal bug, and many warriors from the Citadel have fallen to him. We also know that Seth was chosen by a mysterious voice, which is probably the thing that gives him this increased strength. Seth is also one of the two bosses that falls into the category of NPCs as well. Sadly, little is known about him. Apart from few lines that describe his purpose and two short clips, we don't have any more information about him. In one of these clips, we can see Seth being a passive NPC where we can probably talk to him, and in the second one is where we can see him fight Hornet. While comparing these two clips, we can see that Seth has three pieces of equipment that he uses while fighting. A hook-like weapon that is almost identical to the weapon that Lace uses, a small round shield, and a cloak. Seth was revealed by one of the members of Team Cherry that posted two riddles in Hollow Knight Discord. The riddles led to two passwords, and then you could use the passwords to open up a file in which Seth was revealed. The two passwords also revealed more than just the files, but they also hinted at Seth's purpose in this world. The first password was Protector, and the second one was Bloom. The Protector part is pretty self-explanatory, but the Bloom part could be hinting either at the thing he's protecting or the mysterious voice that he hears. Either way, the only thing we can do now is speculate until we get more information. And this leads us to the last boss that we know the name of, Shrabio. In his description it is said that Shrabio is the master of stage, the brush and the voice, the flamboyant butterfly. Shrabio seeks fame and adoration through Farloom. So, Shrabio is also a very interesting character. Just like Seth, he falls into the category of NPCs and bosses. Shrabio only makes a single appearance in the announcement trailer. We can see him standing in the dark room with a giant statue of the bell symbol that is frequently featured when seeing things that are related to the Citadel. He is also very reminiscent of Grimm. Everything from the color palette of his character, the design of his character, to the arena that lights up in the red color, as you encounter him, and the red steam that pops up from the floor. But even though that all these things are similar, I doubt that he is related to the Grim Troop in any way. We can also see him spread his wings, since it is said that he is a butterfly, and just like other bosses on this tier list, we barely have any information about him. It is also noteworthy that Mossbag talked about the giant statue behind him. He speculated that the statue could be like a miniature interpretation of the pipe system that we discussed about while talking about Lace, but I don't know, this doesn't really look like anything to me, but that could be just because I'm dumb. Now we are getting into the section of the video where we will be covering bosses that have no name, no description, and for some of them we don't even know slightly where they are located at. First boss on this list is this crab-like bug that we can see in the Coral Forest area. We can see him wearing a mask on which he has scars. We can also see him attack Hornet by using a move that spawns these coral spears out of walls and ceilings, but all in all, that's pretty much everything that we know about him. Then we have this moth-like creature that we can see Hornet fighting together with Garmond and Zaza. There is not much to be said about this creature. It's literally just a big flying bug with fangs. Next up, we have the Twin Drills. Their location is currently unknown to us, but we can actually relate them to one thing. One of Hornet's tools that we can see her use in the fight against the last judge has almost identical design to these two guys. This tool is a thrown projectile that pierces enemies, and these two bosses could be where we get it from. Next, we have this weirdly humanoid creature that is lurking within the catacombs area, and again, we have absolutely zero information about this boss. We can see that it has a oversized head with claws that it uses as a weapon, and it hangs from the ceiling. And I don't know what else I can say about this creature. Next up, we have this big beast that we actually saw twice. Once in this strange underground area, and once in the village that is between the Moss Grotto and the Deep Dock. Other than the fact that it is a giant head with 4 legs, there is nothing interesting about this boss. And now, I left the best for the last. A giant robot that we saw in the first trailer. We will be fighting him in the Deep Dock's sub-area, named by the community the Lake of Fire. We also got an image of this boss when Silksong was announced to the PlayStation. In this image we can see the boss way more clearly than in the reveal trailer. Up until now, this is the only mechanical boss that there is in the game. There is a very low possibility that the last judge is also mechanical, but there is very unlikely. This boss has a spider-like form with 4 arms and 2 legs. Each time he attacks Hornet, he destroys a part of the ground that Hornet was standing on. He also appears to be wearing a strange crown on his head. This could be just the design, or it could be the device through which someone is controlling him. And if this crown is just the design, and no one is controlling him with it, we can also very clearly see that there are strings attached to his arms while he is fighting Hornet, which could be the sign of him being actually controlled by the Curse of the Silk. And that's it. I think I covered all the bosses that were revealed so far. If I missed any of the bosses or I didn't provide enough information about them, please tell me in the comments below, and if you have any ideas that you would like me to make a video about, please also tell me in the comments. But for now, that's it, and I hope you enjoyed the video.